Hello, Simon Dixon here, CEO and co-founder of BnkToTheFuture.com, and I'm here today with Ryan Orr from Chronicled, who's the CEO and co-founder. Chronicled just launched recently on our online investment platform, and it's almost reached its minimum funding goal, and it looks like it's going to pass very shortly. And we're going to be emailing our investors next week from time of doing this interview. And just before we email them, we wanted to record a special update so that Ryan can share some more details on Chronicled, some of the investors that have joined the round, and some of the exciting projects that they're going through. Now, just before we do that, Ryan, could you give us a quick 30-second pitch on what Chronicled is? Obviously, investors can see the other videos and all the content we've created, but just give the brief overview to set context for this video.
Sure. So Chronicled is a turnkey solution to link any physical product, machine, or packaging to any blockchain system.
Okay, so you're kind of combining together two areas, I guess, that the venture capitalists have been looking at pretty aggressively for the last few years, which is blockchain in some of its immutable properties and Internet of Things. Could you explain why you think these two are a good marriage, and why Chronicled is a team to put them together?
Yeah, absolutely. So Internet of Things and blockchain are both decentralized technologies, so they fit like hand in glove. And then the additional very interesting attribute of blockchain is the immutability, so that you can open up a blockchain system to thousands of decentralized participants and still have full security immutability of the product registrations. It's a very unique idea that we couldn't do previously with centralized database systems. And so as a back end for the IoT, the blockchain is a perfect candidate.
Excellent.
As far as our team's capability to put the two things together, we have deep expertise in IoT, and we're doing firmware on the IoT microchips, BLE chips, NFC chips, to make the chips compatible with all of the major blockchain systems.
Okay, all right. Well, later we'll go through perhaps some of the case studies and interesting things you're doing with this combination of Internet thing, physical devices, and the immutable properties of the blockchain. One of the things that I think hasn't come across well on the pitch yet, that investors may not realize, is the caliber of some of the investors that have joined the round so far, and some of the roadmaps ahead and some of the conversations you're having. Could you go through some of the venture capitalists that the investors in this round will be co-investing with, and your goals and path forward with some of the Series A conversations?
Yeah, you bet. So two of the investors in the current round are Colbeck Capital and Fenbushi Capital. Both are active in the blockchain space. Both are existing investors in prior rounds of the company. We have a third existing investor, Mandra Capital, based out of Hong Kong, with an interest to participate. We have two or three others who are very close to confirming. So the round is going to close in the relatively near future, kind of with or without the Bank to the Future contribution of some of these larger players. There's actually also a Fortune 500 corporate development arm that's also, I guess, competing, if you will, for the final capacity in the round, which is a terrific.
Okay, so whether Bank to the Future investors join this round or not, there seems to be that there's an interest that will close the convertible note at this point, and also you've already engaged in some of the Series A conversations. Can you share the roadmap with that?
Yeah, you bet. So once we have half a dozen of the POCs that we're working on with different Fortune 500 companies wrapped up, and we're showing path in multiple sectors to building substantial business, we have 5 elite, well-known VC firms that have all committed to preempt our Series A financing. I expect that'll happen in H2. So the first 6 months of the year, after we wrap up this $3 million note, will be focused on delivering on the POCs with multiple Fortune 500 companies that we're engaged with and talking to, and a couple of those have closed in the last couple of weeks in terms of the contracts to do the POC work. And then in H2, we'll do the Series A financing.
Excellent. Okay. I know you've given me loads of conversations that we'd love to share with investors, but unfortunately, due to the nature of what you do when you're dealing with some of these larger companies, sharing details preemptively before you can do that can often ruin the deal that you might be trying to close. So what can you share with some of the opportunities that are coming up, some of the user cases, and what you got in the pipeline that's not going to mess up what you've been working so hard to achieve?
Sure. Well, one that I can share easily because it's public is the launch of our generic IoT browser so that a user can interact with any physical property. We launched the IoT browser. It's called Discover by Chronicled last week. There's a press release. You can find it in conjunction with the release of an art show at the 111 Minute Gallery in San Francisco. And we had our chips on all of the paintings. The paintings are blockchain registered. You can buy a painting off of the wall in the gallery and have the blockchain record transfer to you. And so we have kind of a proximity-based commerce solution without needing to get through a point of sale. You can learn about the art. You can buy the art. We're actually talking with a few insurance companies about adding a per-item insurance option. So that's one. Then we have an IoT blockchain protocol working group coming together. It's something we've been working on for almost 2 months. We have 5 Fortune 500 companies who have been tic-tacking on legal, press, executive committee, CEO, board reviews of an initiative to create a blockchain IoT protocol. We have 4 of the 5 across the line, the 5th player at the executive committee level, and press is all drafted and ready to go. And so as soon as we have that final sign-off, we'll have 5 Fortune 500 companies around a blockchain IoT protocol to create a standard way of registering and verifying physical property to blockchain systems. We're currently using the approach that we've created on Ethereum, and we're mirroring across IBM Hyperledger and Bitcoin. And in the future, we can support other blockchains as well.
Okay.
So that's the protocol working group. I guess then each of those protocol working group members have an interest in doing POC. So one of them wants to secure and register router equipment. One of them wants to secure and register documents like deeds of title, deeds of trust. A third one wants to secure and register pallets in the cold chain. So those are some examples of the kinds of POCs with these Fortune 500 companies who are committed to the open source work and who are committed to working with us to bring hopefully what could be trillions of dollars of physical assets, packaging, machines to these blockchain systems.
Okay, just some jargon busting for those not familiar. POC is proof of concept, and one of the dangers of proof of concepts that we've seen is investors can sometimes end up paying the bill for some of these large companies trying to experiment with blockchains. Could you explain, like, are these people actually writing you checks? Are you bringing in revenue? Is the revenue base increasing as a result of this?
Yeah, you bet. Typically for us, the proof of concept would be 100,000 to 300,000, flat fee for a 3 to 6 month scope of work, and with an intent to, scale up commercially on the back end of that period. So we just did one with a major top 10 pharmaceutical company last week, signed, and that's $100,000 face value. We have a kind of a large milk company that ships milk, chocolate milk, strawberry milk, milk for your breakfast cereal in the morning, and there's an interest in using the tracker chip on the pallets and attesting the data to blockchain, the sensor data that's collected by the tracker chip. There's currently no way to do the data attestation in the supply chain, so they're interested in that. And that's $100,000 face value, not quite closed, but very close. There are half a dozen others with the members of the protocol working group, all at various stages of conversation.
Okay, so it seems like these larger companies are looking to do some intersection between blockchain and Internet of Things. They seem to be come into Chronicled, and Chronicled seem to have the team that are able to deliver these concepts. Could you explain a bit more about? I remember you when we first spoke. You mentioned about how you put together 14 of the people that a lot of these Fortune 500 companies might want to employ in their innovation sector. Could you explain a bit more about the talent that you've actually put together here that's driving a lot of the innovation and valuation here?
Yeah, you bet. So we have an in-house team of 15 full-time employees, mostly engineering, graphic design, firmware. We have a very small business development team, just a couple of individuals, and then we're using distribution partners to attack different market verticals so that we don't have to bring those costs in-house early on. We have probably 30 different players in the network that help us with all of the IoT microchips at the chip companies, the firmware, the form factors that we wrap around the chips, graphic design, and so forth. So we have a full network of 30, 40 plus individuals who we use selectively as needed for very, very specialized tasks. In addition to the core team of 15 individuals, it's a vibrant, happening organization. There's a full group in the office every day. We've been in this mode of working for almost 2 years now. We've built a full platform, including the blockchain, smart contracts, the cloud services platform, the apps to do registration and verification against the blockchain records, the admin dashboards on the back end to provision and manage fleets of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of these IoT microchips deployed in physical property and packaging. The cost of the chips has come down enormously, and so it's a very exciting time to be coming to market.
Okay, Ryan, thank you very much for your time. I think that gives our qualifying investors some additional information that may not necessarily have come across on the pitch. We'll be mailing that out to our qualifying investors. It looks like we're about to pass the minimum funding goal. It looks like you've got sufficient interest external to Bank to the Future. So we look forward to seeing if which of our investors join this opportunity, and it's our first Internet of Things opportunity. So thank you for being a part of that, and thanks for sharing these extra details, Ryan.
Hey, thank you, Simon.